right, guys, welcome back to the Side Dish Podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Shin, joined as always by my co-host, Jay Lee.
Hello.
And our sometimes co-host, Sumin Han.
Hi.
And our very special guest, Julian Gari.
Hey, how are you?
What's up, dude?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. It's been a long time coming, actually. We've thought about this episode for a long time, but today it's actually happening, bro.
Woo. Yeah, I'm excited.
Well,
yeah.
You're late, so not
am.
that excited.
The taxi driver. Well, the taxi driver kind of trolled. He was pretty upset driving
Why?
up the hills in Itowan.
Oh. Yeah. Was he trying to
He was trying to drop me off
earlier, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I did.
It.
I just got off because I didn't
Okay.
want him to be mad. So
Conflict avoidant. Okay.
I'm pretty conflict avoidant for sure.
I feel like you kind of are, yeah.
I don't like to get. I've never been in like fights with people, honestly.
Never like a fist fight or
Like,
anything?
oh no, like physically, never.
Well, you fought your
And then-
brother. You have a little brother, right?
Yeah, I mean, like
That doesn't count.
childish stuff.
Yeah.
but like no, like actual like fights or like serious falling outs or anything like that.
Going right into it, I see. Deep stuff.
Well, so one of the funniest and most interesting stories that I've probably heard in my adult life came from Jules when he was telling us how he learned in his adulthood that you are actually part Asian. And I feel like that's a really funny story to segue into your life. Do you mind kind of sharing the overview of that story?
Sure, I can share a bit about that. So basically, I grew up my whole life identifying as Cuban American. My dad is from Cuba. My mom's from the U.S., so Cuban American naturally. Over my life, I've had probably 100 people tell me like I looked part Asian.
And you do. You very much look Asian.
And I definitely, I probably have some reminiscent features now, but definitely as a kid, I looked even more so. When I look back at some of my kid pictures, I look almost like half in some of them. But yeah, decided to take 23andMe, genetic testing, and basically the results were 50% Ashkenazi Jewish, 25% Cuban, and 25% Chinese. And I was completely shocked by the results. The Jewish part,
And Ashkenazi Jewish is like the better Jewish, right? It's like the
I would
OG.
not
Oh
say
my
that,
gosh.
but it basically
cut.
It's like the rare earth metals of Jewish people.
Well, basically, it did help me learn about the differences between Judaism as a religion and Judaism as a ethnicity, as like a group of people. Like,
Right.
because like Ashkenazi Jews, like no different than like Korean or something like that. It's just a group of people. Because I'm not religious myself, but
Right.
I'm half Ashkenazi Jewish. So I first of all learned from that my mom was 100% Ashkenazi. The 25% Cuban was not surprising. Well, the number was. I knew the Cuban part, but then the 25% Chinese was like I said, complete shocker to me. And I was 25 years old. I was hoping to get like 1%.
Wow,
I thought it was gonna be 0. I was hoping to get 1% to like crack a joke about it.
Yeah.
And then when I saw it, I was like, what is happening right now?
That's crazy. So you confronted your father?
Yes. So I had a long conversation with my father after that. He was completely in shock too. He did not know that he was half Cuban. He confirmed that also by taking 23andMe. Funnily, his nickname in Cuba was Chino, which means Chinese in Spanish. And it was just a nickname given to him because he had sort of Asian-ish features as a Cuban man.
Right.
But not because they knew he was Chinese.
Wait, does your dad though look half? I mean, now that you look at him,
I've shown you. I think I should show you a picture, but I don't. When I shown people, sometimes people say that I can see it, and some people say they don't. I'd say that. I also think a big part of what people look like is not just like they're like in their blood, but it's also like how they dress, what they eat, how tan they are, sort of like that cultural aspect
Right.
of it. And my dad doesn't have any Chinese culture. It's like he's very tan. He's like grew up, sort of Chinese with Cuban style,
Right.
with Cuban family, so it doesn't have any of that.
Right,
I mean?
right.
So I think he definitely has a number of things like they started to make sense where like my dad doesn't have any arm hair. He was the only one of my uncles that couldn't grow an afro. There were a lot of these things where my dad was different than the rest of my family, like the rest of my extended family.
Right.
That there was no explanation for it. It was just he's just different. And I was like, okay, well, whatever. But then basically turned out that he is.
And is he the only one
Yes,
among his like
yes.
siblings who's So,
So all of my
crazy.
cousins that I grew up with, I have a big family, are half cousins. All my uncles and aunts are half uncles and aunts.
Wow.
My abuela, we're trying to figure out who it is that is Chinese in my family. So we basically got my abuela genetic tested, and she is related to me and my dad, which means that my abuelo is not related to us.
Whoa.
Biologically. But
So grandma, I mean, There is a joke somewhere in here about like, you know, during Christmas, like your Jewish grandma going out to the Chinese restaurant and then falling in love with like the line cook. I'm not going to make that joke. I'm just saying there is a
You
joke.
already did.
Yeah.
But it wasn't my Jewish it was my
Oh, it's your Cuban.
It's my
right.
Cuban
Cuban.
grandmother was with a Chinese man, right? So I have a Chinese grandfather on my paternal side.
Right, that's right.
And then
that's
my maternal side's fully Ashkenazi Jewish.
right.
Right.
So so this comes to light. I mean, candidly speaking, did it kind of like make sense to you, or how did you take that information?
Yeah, so it definitely made me think like more about myself. Like I said, I just thought of myself as Cuban American. I didn't really think of myself as Jewish because I'm not religious. But
Right.
then I started thinking more about being Ashkenazi Jewish as 50% of my ethnic makeup. And then I also started thinking about, like I'm a quarter Chinese. Like that's a part of me. I'd love to know more about who my grandfather was and that side of the family, but I really don't know anyone there.
Because like I'm also kind of saying you were a very mathematically inclined person when you were a young man, right? So not to make the stereotypes.
What are you trying to imply, Aaron?
I think Ashkenazi Jews just are so good at STEM.
Yeah.
No, but because like it kind of makes sense. You were also telling, you've told me before that you had a lot of Asian friends growing up, and you tended to hang out with the more studious Asian kids in Florida.
Yes.
We all know Floridians are stereotypically on meth or whatever.
But also they're not known for being good.
Right, but they also produce clearly very smart people. So, I mean, in that respect, did it kind of click that maybe there was something in your blood that was drawing you towards people of your
there
kind?
were a lot of things just sort of started making more sense. It's hard to get into all of it right now, but a lot of things just started making more sense, both with things that I've been told about my father, things about me, why I was maybe felt a little different than what I thought, and and like you were saying, I grew up playing competitive chess in the math club, statistics at Harvard, in the gaming industry, so around a lot of Asian friends.
Yeah.
You
were just like, these genetics don't add up. The numbers aren't there. And you're like a beautiful
Genes
minding
don't
your way
lie.
through it. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, let's talk about chess then, because you were a chess champion as a young man, and that your love of chess led to your love of games, game theory, and that led to you eventually attending Harvard to study those things. Take us through, I guess, because when I think of a chess master, I think of Bobby Fischer. I think of guys with really large heads. I mean,
Lawrence Fishburne.
yeah, exactly. Do you feel like what was that scene like? Was it as nerdy and kind of, I don't know, lame as I'm joking it is?
I can touch it. So I learned chess very young, probably about 4 or 5 years old.
Oh, wow.
It was my dad was playing this. I was on an old Mac called Battle Chess. It was this chess program. It was just chess, but it had like fun animations, or I thought they were fun as a kid. Like when a piece would get taken, it would like show a little funny animation, and I would watch my dad.
feel like I know
Harry
this.
Potter chess kind of.
Yeah, sort of
Oh,
like
yeah.
before that, but like that, and that got me so interested because I was like, as a kid, it's like watching it. So I basically learned from just sitting behind my dad watching him. I was moving the pieces one day with my younger brother, and I think our babysitter was saying that like, oh, they're cute, they're moving the pieces, and then like my dad looked, and we were actually just playing.
Like you kind of had intuitively, or
We just
absorbed
it from
yeah.
watching
Wow.
and just being interested in. So that's sort
Very
of my
smart.
Yeah.
That's sort of how I got introduced to chess. And then I started my family and I started the chess club at my school and ended up making a lot of friends doing it. In 4th and 5th grade, we were U.S. Scholastic National Champions as a team.
Wow.
And I definitely like when I started getting into middle school, I really dropped off with it because I definitely felt a bit bullied, like a bit nerdy. Looking back, I wish I maybe had stuck with it more, but it was just hard, as I was a kid and I wanted to fit in.
What did you pivot to fit in then?
It was actually just video games, honestly.
I mean, video games were definitely cooler.
Well, they're cool now. Back then, they weren't that cool, I don't think.
What were you playing?
Played a lot of like strategy games, like Total Annihilation, Age of Empires, Warcraft 3, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Warcraft 3 was kind of still lame.
Yeah, like World of Warcraft was cool. Warcraft 3 was lame.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like you should have been playing Halo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly. No, the
yeah.
kids were playing Halo like in study hall and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
And you're like, Age of Empires. I'm the Byzantine. Yeah.
but looking back, I've sort of reflected on it, and I think I'm okay with how it turned out because if I had stuck with chess, I think there's a chance I could have gone like to the Grandmaster route because I So the youngest U.S. Grandmaster, his name was Ray Robson. I don't know if he still has the title, but at one point he had the title. But I used to beat him as a kid. Oh, we were very similar age. And I maybe I could have stuck with it. I don't know, and gone that far. And he's actually, I think he's very good. He's like ranked top like 10 or 15 in the world
What's
right
his
now.
name?
That's Ray Robson.
I just imagine the announcer being like, and now announcing Ray Robson, and you just like punch a hole through your computer screen.
But I'm okay with it because, I think it gave me a bit more of a normal childhood to just not, because you really have to just fully stick with chess, be homeschooled for the most part.
Dude, for a former chess master who went to Harvard, you're very, very normal, dude. Like, you're not like a weirdo.
I put on,
Yeah, right? I've studied the way that people talk. Intuitively, it's come out of me. I've absorbed the information.
You've been socialized.
Just like with battle chess, just absorb what other people are doing.
So then chess was your entry into like game theory and kind of looking at statistics and stuff like that. But did you always have an idea that you wanted to make games, or was that passion discovered later?
Yeah, I can. So I definitely grew up playing a lot of chess and a lot of just board games, cards, games like Yahtzee. So I sort of taught me like numbers intuitively in some sense, like because Yahtzee you have to know like sort of dice probability, cards you have to know card probability. That's not something I was like learning the math for, but I just by playing it so much and enjoying it, I got a very good sense of like probability, and that got me interested in numbers, got me interested in games. So yeah, that sort of was the beginning of it all. I didn't know I wanted to go into games as a job because back then, games as a job wasn't something that anyone told you could do.
Right. Yeah.
Like
unless I feel like people would say you could work at Blizzard and, help them update StarCraft or something like that.
Yeah,
but
no one even would say that because I remember playing Warcraft 3 Blizzard games and thinking like, oh, these devs are like gods, right? Like, because I didn't know their faces. I was a kid being like, I didn't even think of them as people. I was like, these like epic beings making the games that I love. But if someone listed, back in the day, like, 10 jobs you could do or 20, game designer was not on that list.
Yeah,
ever.
True.
Nowadays, I think it is. People
there's college programs
absolutely.
have them.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So
when you say back in the day, can you just tell us like around what year you're talking about? Like when
I just meant like as a, I was born in 91. So let's just say as a kid when people start asking, what do you want to be when you grow up? Like I never even considered games.
Gotcha.
What did you say?
I think I said either a vet because I really love animals, or something with like. I think at some point I said the CIA because I like hate crime and like sort of want justice. I do. I like I thought they were like the smart people that like solved crime.
Right.
So I don't know. But I never seriously pursued any of that stuff. I think at one point I maybe said that.
Do you remember when you applied to college though? Like Harvard probably was asking like, what kind of stuff do you want to study? And you did statistics. Was that what your major was, or was it applied math, or specifically?
I was a statistics major.
Okay.
But I remember putting that I was like likely to study statistics, maybe economics, maybe political science. But it's funny because when I was applying to things, I actually didn't even put chess on like my resume. I didn't even think it was like.
Well, I guess your accolades had come from before high school, so that wouldn't have helped that much.
And I also didn't put like really stuff with gaming much either. So I had like made mods. I had like run gaming communities and forums. I didn't even like think that was important. I thought it was like a hobby. So I didn't even like putting that stuff. I didn't think that mattered. So
what was your your big activity in high school that you think was impressive?
I don't know. I guess I was captain of the crew team and vice president of the math club.
We all know that to get into Harvard, you have to do crew.
No, absolutely, right? That's like the running joke.
Right.
But definitely, crew. We talked about this, but crew at Harvard. So I was a lightweight in high school, but like what lightweight means in college is they're like 6'3". Like I couldn't do it.
Yeah. I wonder if putting that you were Cuban on your college application gave you a leg up. If they had known that you were part Asian, maybe they would have held you to a higher standard.
I mean, honestly, I probably don't want to discuss on the podcast, but yes.
Aaron just likes to say.
I'm kidding. Well, I'm
Stir
curious.
the pot.
I'm curious. Before we go into the Harvard years, what do you think is like the best game in terms of like mathematically? What is like, and chess might be your answer, but aside from chess, if that's the case.
Cones of Dunshire.
I'm gonna
Candyland.
Yeah, it's from Parks and Recreation.
Yeah, Parks and I've seen it. I'm gonna say. So I would have to say a deck of cards, actually.
Okay.
So it's not one game, but it's sort of a platform to play thousands of games and just make games. It's like this very simple sort of structure for making other games.
Right.
And like everyone knows the numbers, knows the suits, and from there you can make so many different things. So I just say a deck of cards. Yeah.
That's a good answer.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Great
And
answer.
it's a great answer because like cards is something that have been like found across civilization. They don't always look the same. That the suits aren't always the same, but the basic numerical, like there are 4 different suits and there's
Right.
like a numbers that fall into those suits.
It's like a math thing.
Yeah,
that
it is
happens
a
all
math
over
thing.
the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Have you ever
crazy.
played Hwatu? Like the Korean.
It's like the Korean deck of
version of
cards.
I
deck of
actually think
cards?
I've tried it once, but not seriously or anything.
We need to explore
I'm
that.
down to try it.
I
Yeah,
want.
for
I
sure.
want you to
There
like
was a
take a
time.
look.
There was a time that me, Sue, Jay, and our friend Chris played like every night
Yeah.
for like 6 months. We were obsessed with it.
Yeah,
I'd be
it was-
totally down to try it.
It was pretty fun.
And then, what is the worst game you think? The worst engineered game of all time?
Okay, I'm not gonna say worst, but I'm gonna say most overrated. I'm gonna say Apples to Apples and Cards Against Humanity.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
because it's lazy, right?
I think those games are fun once or twice, really fun once or twice, but completely lose replay value. Like there's only so many times jerking off into the tears of children or whatever that card is can be funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
yeah.
I think Cards Against Humanity is like specifically for ice breaking. Like
Yeah.
let's say you have like a big group of
It
people.
kind of like just tells you what their humor like levels are.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Like just trying to get to know like
But I know exactly what you mean because after playing cards, we bought it, right? And I think I've made us play it as a friend group maybe 3 times, and then after the 3rd time, nothing was really that funny anymore.
But I think that's why we did it the first few times because I feel like it was when like all these groups merged, right? And we were all
we also
trying
wanted
to get
to see every card. We were like, we have to keep playing until we see every card. And after we had seen the
Right,
punchline, it was kind of like not that funny anymore. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the Harvard years. You're from Florida. You know, going to Cambridge is a pretty big transition, I'd imagine. Had you even visited the campus before going?
I had visited once. I think I did a college tour. Oh no. Okay, I did a college tour, and then I did before I applied, before I got in, before I applied, did a college tour. Before I accepted, I did the visiting weekends.
Okay.
I remember actually hating the
Perspectives.
visiting weekends. It was raining. It was cold. My freshman, whoever was hosting me, just abandoned me.
Oh, wow.
But I just went anyway. But I did hate it.
Yeah. So then going in, I imagine every like freshman at Harvard during orientation week, I imagine that like they are all just like fist bumping and like kind of being like, yeah, we did it. Like we're the chosen people of like whatever class of, 2010 or whatever, whenever you graduated, right? Is that the case? Is there like this sort of like inner dialogue on campus of like, we are the future leaders of tomorrow, and like what we do in these 4 years is gonna blah 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 blah.
I think there's definitely a sense of that. For me, I was so overwhelmed. Like I didn't feel that myself. I had grown up in Florida my whole life. I went to the same school from kindergarten to 12th grade. So, I had made new friends over the years, but I also had my core group of friends that I met when I was young.
Didn't your also high school sweetheart go to Harvard with you or something?
Yeah, we dated for maybe like 6 months
Okay.
in 8th grade or something. But yeah, one of my close friends, Alicia Smart, they went to Harvard with me.
Wow.
Yeah, so
I don't think anyone from my year went. Oh no, Alana went to Harvard. Alana Jew, who is half Chinese and half Jewish.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
Okay.
wait, is her last name?
Her last name is Chu.
I thought you were okay.
I was gonna be
just
like
call her that.
Erin.
It's a Chinese last
Got it,
name.
got it,
Yeah,
got it.
yeah,
Wait,
yeah.
that's so funny. It's
Yeah.
a Chinese last name. Oh, but then she's also Jewish. Interesting.
also Jewish, yeah.
Kind of very fitting.
But I'm curious. Like, so you get to Harvard. You are basically trying to reinvent yourself, or are you comfortable in your own skin? What was that transition like?
I definitely was not comfortable in my own skin. That was probably one of the hardest things for me when I went to Harvard. Just being away from my family and friends, being dropped off in a place with like a bunch of other 18 to 20-year-olds, right? I was completely like overwhelmed. I didn't have the social skills for it. So yeah, I definitely experienced.
Something tells me a lot of Harvard kids don't have the social skills for it.
Yeah, it's a lot don't, but I think I was definitely in the sort of an extreme case where it was really like tough for me. Not that I couldn't make friends. I was just overwhelmed. Like I never really had a girlfriend before. I'd never gone seriously partying, that kind of stuff. So
There was a blog back in the day from some chick from Harvard all about like having sex. Do you remember that? It was
No, I
pretty
don't
famous
think I
back in
read
the
it.
day, but it was like her whole thing was like, you think that all we do is study, but we're fucking too. And I just like, I'm like, is that true?
Yeah, Harvard students are definitely partying and having sex for sure, just like any college.
But you guys don't call it fucking, you call it fornicating.
Yeah,
obviously.
for sure. Very scientific always. Yeah.
Maybe it's
fellatio, please. Yeah.
like people always get surprised that band geeks like have a ton of sex.
Yeah. But then American Pie kind of like pulled back the curtain on Bandcamp.
Yeah.
I was actually talking about it a bit yesterday. I was like, kind of MIT students are like the real nerds, and then Harvard students are actually like the jocks of the.
Yeah, I mean, I went to BU. I had friends at both campuses, but MIT was aggressively nerdy, and then Harvard was like chill nerdy. Yeah. But like, I just feel like Harvard has that cachet, right? Like, I don't know if this has happened to you, but when I was like in grad school, people would be like, "Oh, where'd you go to undergrad?" And this one girl was like, I mean, it's kind of. I went to Princeton, but she said it in that way of like, "I'm sorry."
Yeah, I'm sorry for having to bring it up.
Yeah, like I'm sorry for having to tell you the answer to your question.
Yeah.
Did you ever get that feeling? I feel like you're really good at just saying like, "I went to Harvard." Yeah. A lot of people who went to Harvard will say, "I went to school in Cambridge." To sort of like, which one? Did you go to? Yeah, did you go to MIT or
I'll
Harvard?
say it because I don't want to make it a big deal or anything. I do have a fun story that I remember being in a taxi in California, and I was completely exhausted. I probably had like 3 hours of sleep, and I think this was a Lyft or something. And this was back when like Lyft was kind of new, and the whole premise of Lyft was like their taxi driver talks to you, right?
Yeah, they were like trying
to differentiate from Uber.
Their whole business model was like,
What
do you want to have a friend?
Like you sit up in the front, and like you're your friends for like 20 minutes.
No.
Yeah.
Oh God.
That's why Uber
That's super not
prevailed.
pandemic
Yeah.
safe.
So I remember he was asking me like where I went to school, and I was like, I do not want to have a conversation. So I just said Florida State University because it was like I knew a lot of friends with it, and I was like, we're in California. She's not really gonna know anything about it. But he like had some connection to it and caught me in the lie, basically.
Oh my God.
I mean, I was lying, but I had been punished for lying.
Yeah,
and we had to have
yeah.
a conversation where I was in a web of lies about Florida State University.
You have to like keep the lie going. Yeah. Oh yeah, dude, Florida State, man. Yeah, the beaches are so nice, and dude, Miami's like kind of close by. I don't know anything about FSU.
It's not close to Miami.
So you're saying that you had a difficult transition when you got to Harvard, but what was maybe one thing that you immediately fell in love with? It could be like a student group, a club, a teacher, a class you took.
I'm going to say two things. First is just being around people that were like smarter than me and sometimes a lot smarter than me. I felt very motivated to want to improve myself. And then in terms of activities, is like I actually rejoined the chess. I joined the chess club at Harvard my freshman year.
Did they have you like play against like the upper E-board members or something to like get a spot?
No,
in the
like
club?
there was nothing serious like that. You just like show up and play. There was no like application or anything, but it sort of reinvigorated my love for chess. And like now since then it's been a hobby. And I actually did play a tournament at Harvard because it was like a college v college kind of tournament. And I was one of the members on the team. So I did do one tournament. That was like the only chess tournament I've done since I was like, I don't know, last time I was probably 14 years old.
How'd you do? How'd you perform?
I remember so basically you're at like different board positions. And so I forget, third or fourth board position because like there are players that are better than me. And I did pretty well. I remember my tournament performance rating was around 2,000 ELO. Okay. Which basically like I wasn't too that. The last time I had to play chess was like I was saying when I was like 14 or so. So my rating was a lot lower, which was an advantage for us because it takes like they look at your average rating and it's like it has to be below a certain number. So it's sort of an advantage to have me on the team. But then your tournament performance rating is like how well you do against players that tournament, and they give you a number. And so I think 2,200 is like master level, 2,000 is expert level. It's like different tiers or whatever.
Nice. So you still got it though.
Yeah, I still had it. Yeah,
dude. Like I'm too lazy, but I've had the thought of just like watching a YouTube video of like the 5 best opening moves to do.
I can show you.
I know you can
right now.
I know you could. I know you could. But it's like I'm too lazy.
Do you watch what is it?
Queen's Gambit?
Yeah. How did you feel about it?
I did watch Queen's Gambit. So I did like it, and I like that it got people interested in chess.
Okay.
It was definitely very.
That was definitely a fad. Everyone bought chess boards during the pandemic for a minute.
And started taking like heavy pills.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was called like a second chess boom because of Queen's Gambit plus pandemic of like people just wanting to pick up an online activity.
Right.
Yeah.
But I did like the show. I did like the show a lot. It was definitely a bit like exaggerated. Like she would knock the king over of the opposing player and be like, checkmate. That does not happen. It's super disrespectful. But maybe for a non-chess player, they get it. It's like, oh, their king's falling over. Checkmate. Sounds cool.
Right.
So you got to show, not tell.
Yeah, for sure.
Tell us about like the friend group you made at Harvard. Were your friends different from the ones that you hung out with in high school? You were saying earlier about some of the people you were hanging out with were smarter than you, motivating you in that way. Who are some of your more interesting friends you met at Harvard?
So a little funny story is when I, had been accepted to Harvard and they gave you an application like to find out your roommates. They like want to know about your personality to match you with people that are like you or whatever. I was terrified that Harvard was going to be a bunch of losers and nerds. And so I was like, I want to be kind of cool. So I kind of lied on my thing. I was like, yeah, I love partying. I'm messy, all these sort of answers. Yeah. And they paired me with a bunch of recruited athletes and people who love partying. And, we were friends. Probably not the type of people that I would have befriended otherwise, but we ended up becoming friends.
And were they like legacy kids who also did crew or something?
They were recruited athletes. A lot of them were recruited athletes. They were smart, but they also very good at a certain sport, and that was one of the big reasons they got in. And for my sophomore year and beyond, I ended up getting roommates that were a bit more like me. We played like
indoor kids.
Yeah, indoor kids, board games, and we got hooked on League of Legends together, that kind of stuff.
Nice.
So I sort of went back to my roots a bit, but I got to experience like new types of friends that I wouldn't have otherwise made.
It being such a diverse community, right? Like, who was maybe in your year or in your cohort, like one of the more interesting figures? You know what I mean? Like whether they're royalty from Thailand or the daughter of a billionaire.
I would meet people like that all the time, where it was like they wouldn't mention it, but it was some like daughter of
like Dick Cheney's niece or something
of a country, or they actually like their parent donated $10 million for something, things like that.
Wasn't there Natalie Portman? Natalie Portman, Hermione Granger. Did she go?
No. So Natalie Portman went the same time as fucking that Trump in-law kid. What's his name? Jared Kushner.
Right.
Yeah, they're like the same year at Harvard.
Yeah.
And then like, for example, Jeremy. Well, I guess Jeremy Lin wasn't famous when he went to Harvard. Never mind. Yeah. He got famous afterwards. But he was famous in Palo Alto. I mean, everyone was like...
There is someone that comes to mind. So he wasn't a close friend or anything, but he was an acquaintance and he was a friend. And I'm not going to use his name because it's a bit sensitive, but basically he was like a savant, super smart guy. He was starting this like... I don't want to get into details because it's a bit sensitive, but he was starting this business and incredibly bright guy. And then very popular too. People loved him. He threw parties. He ended up dying, and they didn't say why, but he very likely committed suicide.
Whoa!
With high confidence, that's what happened.
Wow!
And it was definitely like the first sort of experience with that, where it was like this bright.
As a student?
As a student.
Oh, wow.
I think maybe like sophomore year or something.
Oh, shit.
Damn.
It looked like on paper, this guy has everything. He's a genius. He's a handsome guy. Yeah, everyone likes him. He's throwing parties, starting a business as a 19-year-old. But something in his brain wasn't happy.
I mean, I'd imagine that going to Harvard also would be... Like some people would take the challenge of going to school with smarter kids when you've been the smartest kid your whole life as an opportunity to grow, like you did. I could imagine some people spiraling into like self-doubt and an identity crisis when they realize like maybe they're not the biggest fish in the pond.
Yeah, I can't surmise exactly what the reason was because like honestly, this guy probably was like within Harvard probably was easily top 5% in terms of intelligence. Right?
Yeah, was he punched by the Phoenix?
He wasn't because he would have been like.
Well, I think we know what happened then.
Yeah.
Apparently, Phoenix clubs are big at Harvard.
Yeah.
What?
What do they call it?
I don't
Finals
know
clubs.
Finals clubs.
Yeah.
You've seen The Social Network.
Like a frat kind of thing?
They're like imagine fratty or frats. Like you can't even
imagine Illuminati frats.
Skull and Bones.
Skull and Bones.
The Masonites or whatever.
Skull and Bones, yeah. Like that kind of shit.
Sure,
yeah.
Like old ass white shit. Yeah.
You cannot what is it called when you rush when you
Hazing?
can't rush
rush.
for it. It's you have to be like selected.
You have to be
like,
punched by the house.
Punched, that's the term.
Oh, metaphorically.
I think it's literally the term.
Or literally.
Yeah, I don't know
Intellectually
exactly.
punched. Yeah.
Well, I mean, but also people who are outwardly happy and seemingly have the best lives can often have really troubled,
True.
And I think there's
things
also
going on,
pretty high
so-
correlation between intelligence and like depression,
Yeah.
suicide. So.
Yeah.
If you could have studied anything else at Harvard other than what you majored in, statistics, what would be like your backup major, or like honestly any field that you wish that you could have explored further?
Well, wish I had learned Korean in college. That's for sure.
If you knew how helpful
yeah,
it'd
if I
be
knew I
later
would
in your
end up
life.
here and how hard Korean is. I would say I do love languages. So I don't think I'm particularly good at learning new languages, but my dad, his first language is Spanish. A lot of my extended family speak Spanish. I don't speak natively fluently. I wish I did. I wish my dad had taught me when I was younger. So I always was jealous of people that could, like, jealous in a good way. Like I wanted to be like that, where I could speak multiple languages. So I think probably would be languages, honestly.
Nice.
Yeah.
Spanish.
Spanish,
Imagine going
yeah.
to Harvard and majoring in Spanish, dude. It's hilarious.
People do it. Yeah.
Why not?
I mean, it's just like, for example, my other buddy who studied at Harvard studied Russian literature, but like does not speak Russian. You know what I mean? He's just like, it was like the
Sounds
major
so
that
hard. Yeah. Actually.
he's also like not read like half of the famous Russian authors. I was like, what did they teach you there, man? What is something that you think people misunderstand about Harvard students? And you can take this question in a self-deprecating direction if you choose.
We can be cool too.
Yeah, if I think of a better answer, I'll say it. But there's definitely the aspect of like, everyone at Harvard is smart or something, or everyone is a nerd, or there's all types of people at Harvard that get in for different reasons and different skills. And there's some people I didn't even consider particularly smart or anything like that, but they had their own maybe special thing about them that got them in.
You want to hear my impression of a Harvard student?
Go ahead.
Yeah, you want to meet down at the coop and pick up some bucks and go to the pit, listen to some music, and then walk over to the Statue of Three Lies.
Is that your Boston accent?
It's my Boston
Yeah,
accent,
nice.
yeah. Okay. It's a good segment. So then you graduate from Harvard. Shut the fuck up. So you graduate from Harvard and then you go straight into working in the gaming industry. Is that right? Not the gaming industry, but working for game companies.
No, so it was actually my sophomore year of college. So I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I was exploring different things. I'd actually looked into like sports analytics with like NFL teams. I looked into
for sure, yeah.
I looked into political stuff. So mainly around like electoral reform, because I was pretty big into that. Because the system's completely broken.
Did you figure out the answer, the solution?
There are answers, but the problem is getting them passed.
Yeah.
The answer is that you have to tier your choices.
Yeah,
right?
ranked choice voting is one of the
yeah.
things that would be best for the country. But I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I was like, I play this game, League of Legends, a lot. So I wonder if this company hires.
Oh, nice.
And around that time, the vice president of Riot was giving a presentation at the Harvard Business School, and so I just heard about this. So I just literally walked over. I was the only undergrad that went, listened in, didn't know what they were talking about, but I just talked to him afterwards, and I was like, I'm a 19-year-old, a sophomore or whatever.
Statistics major.
And I play League and I want to work for you guys. And he was like, well, we don't have an internship program at Riot, but we'll see what we can do. And I, interviewed and landed.
Did they ask you?
Damn.
As a
Like,
sophomore.
Yeah. So and they asked me. So back then, nowadays they have like 3 months internship over the summer. Back then they didn't have a program, so they were like, "Can you take off a semester?" And I was like, "Sure, I don't care. I want to go work for you guys." So I just
Oh,
took a
wait,
semester off.
really?
Yeah.
oh, that's
Nice.
awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Wait, that's such a
Damn.
fucking awesome story of like taking advantage of an opportunity that like no one else at your age had even thought of.
Yeah.
Essentially, yeah.
My dad instilled that in me is like kind of like you gotta.
What's the harm in asking?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like create your own opportunities. Yeah. So then, what did the internship at Riot Games like lead into a full-time position after college?
It did. So basically, I started as a game design intern, and I did really enjoy it. But eventually, they asked me to. They were like, "Your background is in statistics. We have this department called business intelligence that we think you'd be good at. Would you want to go there?" And I was just like, "I'll do whatever you tell me to do." Honestly, so I just
You're like,
moved
I
there.
wanted to be a CIA agent.
I'll just do whatever you tell. So I ended up moving there, and then I worked there full time right out of college.
Business intelligence sounds like a euphemism for something shady. I don't know why.
Maybe, yeah. It's sort of like internal
Analytics,
consulting
right?
and
Yeah.
analytics is a common. It's sort of a cross between those.
I see.
Yeah.
So then, at what age did you like decide to depart and create your own company?
Yeah. So when I was 25, I thought about more what I wanted to do, and my best friend since kindergarten, Brent, lifelong friend and person I grew up playing chess and video games with, he was like, I'm making this game called Legion TD2. And it was a game that he had made. He had made Legion TD back when we were seniors in high school as a mod in Warcraft 3. I helped him as a playtester. I had made other mods with him, but he had made Legion TD. It did really well as a mod. There was no money being made. It was just for fun. But he's like, I want to make this as a standalone game and like do it as a job. And so I was like, I believe in you. Let's do it. So I left and joined him, and we founded Auto Attack Games together.
Nice. Wasn't there a recent news story about modding World War III? Or sorry,
No, don't say it.
wait, there was some sort of controversy about modding existing IP or something, and something
Yes.
like that, right?
So basically, I can talk about it a little bit. I'm not super knowledgeable about it, but what happened was, so League of Legends, right, and Dota 2 are based on this game called Dota, which was a mod in Warcraft 3. And the mods, were just made by people like me, just like kids, right? And Dota 2 basically is owned by Valve, right? And Warcraft 3 is owned by Blizzard. And Dota 2, Valve argued that they could make Dota 2 because like Blizzard does not own the rights to Dota, and Blizzard said they do own the rights to Dota because it was a
built
mod
off,
within
yeah.
our game,
Right.
And ultimately, there were some compromises. I don't know the exact details, but for the most part, Valve won, and they were able to make Dota 2, and that sort of did lead the path for us to be able to make our game without any serious
Right.
issues. There is, I think, it's called Warcraft 3 Reforged, or in sort of a lot with other games now in modding, there are like clauses in place that kind of say like we own what you make, and so that was I think some of the controversy that you might have read.
right. I think that was it. Yeah.
They strengthened their TNCs or something.
Yeah,
probably.
So, but you've never gotten any sort of like cease and desist letters or anything.
Oh, the funny thing is, never actually anything serious like that. We get threatened to be sued all the time by players. And we can talk about being what it's like working in games, because basically imagine working in like the service industry and how people say it sucks, like customers, right? You have to be on your best behavior. They're complaining. Imagine if they're anonymous, and there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
And that's what like.
And their favorite game is TD2.
Yeah. So yeah, they're passionate. I do love players. It's one of my biggest motivators to work in games. But yeah, we get.
I'd
a player
imagine
gets
they'd
banned.
be
They get chat banned for being racist or toxic, and we give them a chat ban, and they're gonna like, oh, we're gonna sue you. They send us hate letters and things like that.
And then, are you guys going to be publishing like a new game anytime soon? Are you working on? I remember when I first met you, you showed me a card game that you made that never got like published.
Yeah, so that was Brent for the most part had made that game. I helped him with. Oh, so it was using our IP that we had all made together.
Right.
But Brent designed the original game. I helped with play testing. But yeah, that was a card game that was made, and yeah, it was mostly for fun. Not anything with the intention of being sold. Maybe one day we would sell it. It's definitely harder to. It's different to do a physical product like that. So we're not quite ready for it yet.
And then you're always updating and patching your existing game. Are you guys going to like put out a sequel or anything like that?
Yeah. So we every month we do like a patch for Legion TD2.
And you host like competitions.
Yes, we have monthly tournaments. So it's like esports for the game, and just other ways of keeping players like engaged and happy.
What's the prize? Is it like?
Yeah, I mean, right now it's like we have about $1,500 in prizes every month,
Nice.
something like that. So it's you get to play a video game that you already enjoy and like potentially win money.
Potentially win, yeah.
So it's like players like it. If we ever got bigger, we would increase the prize pool. A second game is definitely something we're highly considering. We'd want to do it with a bigger team. We made the Legion TD2 our premier game. Very scrappy small team, completely independent. For a second game, we'd want to have more resources and a bigger team. Now that we have some more confidence in ourselves, but also we don't want to make the same mistakes that we did the first time.
I have an idea for a video game. You want to hear it?
Sure. I'm ready.
So I want you to take Overcooked, like kind of like playing dynamics, right? And I want there to be a game where you have to study, but you have to like juggle all these different things. Like you want to like procrastinate at your computer, but then if your mom's coming down the hall, you have to like run to your desk. And basically you have to like complete all these tasks throughout the night to like get an A. And like
That's pretty fun,
right?
I feel like it could be just done within the framework of Overcooked. Like
I think so.
They could literally just make that game.
Yeah.
So the thing is,
But you should make it.
I should make it.
And I want 15%. That's all.
I feel like we're all
idea.
giving him game ideas, and he's just like, no, it's stupid.
Ideas
but
are
I'll
cheap.
entertain it.
Ideas
yeah,
are cheap.
Ideas
Yeah,
are
that's
cheap.
true. But I didn't go to Harvard, man. So now that you're living in Korea, you've been here for 2 years now.
Yes.
You're taking Korean classes. What was the transition like for you, man? Because I remember when I first met you, you'd been like, oh, I haven't really gone out that much. I haven't been able to find a community. Sort of what are your 5-year plans with Korea? Do you want to stay here? Do you want to incorporate your company in Korea? Or have you incorporated here?
No, the company's still based in the U.S. But my first year in Korea was like, okay, I wasn't in Seoul. There were pretty strict COVID restrictions. We couldn't be more than 4 people. And I was careful about that. Like, I know people were breaking it, but I didn't want to be that foreigner that broke the rules. I wanted to be respectful of a country that I'm in. So I was very careful about it. But it was definitely like, man, I cannot meet people.
Yeah. And you guys also lived in like...
We lived in like Bundang. So
Yeah,
we did
yeah,
not
yeah.
live in Seoul. That, plus we were in the middle of launching, like, we launched our game fully in October of what year are we in? October 2021. So
Okay.
I was super busy working on it. I made friends, I went out, but it wasn't the experience that I really wanted. Once I moved to Seoul in February last year and the COVID restrictions went away, I started having a lot more fun, finding you guys, finding friends, and really
going to
it.
Mike's cabin.
There's no smoking in it, so because I don't like
Yeah, true.
being
true.
inside with smoke. So it's like I like it, and the music is fun.
Yeah. If any listeners out here live in the Hongdae area, you can find Julian at Mike's Cabin on any given Friday,
Is
Saturday
it a
night.
club? What is it?
Yeah, it's like it's actually like mostly it's a mix of Spanish music, English music, and Korean music. Yeah, but it's called Mike's Cabin, which I don't know. The name's not so great, but whatever.
Yeah, it sounds really creepy.
It kind of does, yeah.
Come to Mike's cabin.
Yeah. Tell us though about adjusting to Korea. You'd never been to Korea before in your life, right?
I had been twice.
Oh, no, never mind.
So back in 2014, I was still at Riot Games, and the League of Legends World Championship was happening here. First
course.
time in Korea, and so they flew the whole company out here. Actually,
nice.
And it's my first time in Asia, first time in Korea. Thought it was really like probably was only here for like a week or so, but I remember being like, "Wow, this is really different." Like what in terms of what it felt like and looked like, but it was exciting. And then I visited once more in 2018, and then took the dive in terms of living here in 2020 or whatever it was.
Like during the pandemic, yeah,
during the
2020.
middle of it, yeah.
You said at the very beginning of the episode about like a taxi driver not wanting to take you all the way to your destination, which is a very common practice with Korean taxi drivers. Are there any other things like culture shocks, I guess, about moving to Korea that, I mean, you know.
Yeah, sure. I would say like my impressions of Korea and Korean people are like largely positive. In terms of, I don't think there's any like serious culture shocks. I would say one thing that felt really different, this is not about the people, it's actually like the buildings and the way stuff's built here is like everything is like multiple stories and sort of very compact. And from Florida, everything's one story and you have to drive to where you want to go. So it felt like something out of a movie to me. Like I'd never seen anything like that before.
Yeah, the convenience.
Yeah, and so that's something I like about Korea a lot: convenience, safety, and sort of the sort of like communal respect that I think Koreans have for each other and their country. Because
Until we're drunk,
yeah. So you're
which is all the time.
like I remember seeing people when I sort of first got here. Is like they would leave their phones on a cafe table when they go to the bathroom, and you can't do that in America for the most
Chanel
part.
bags,
Even laptops.
I've seen,
Yeah,
like
laptops.
MacBooks,
No straight
just
up.
chilling.
Yeah, I remember I ordered monitors to work, but they're gaming monitors, and on the outside of the box it just said gaming monitor, right? So you just know it's a nice monitor, and it was there for like half a day, and it was just like no issue, right? In the U.S., I would think that'd be stolen very quickly.
No, for sure.
And that sort of thing is like something I really like.
Dude,
about being
my
here.
buddy was in Korea filming like a project and left like $10,000 worth of equipment at a 7-Eleven in Hongdae, actually. And then like later that night, he's like, "Oh my god!" Like we're all drunk.
Yeah.
He's like panicking, and then everyone with us was like, "Don't worry,
It'll
like,
be there."
be there." And but even me, I was like, "I don't know, man.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
yeah.
that's a lot of expensive stuff." Yeah, and lo and behold, we went back and it was right there.
Yeah, the unmanned or like personless stores. I've seen a few here, and even like not so great of areas, and there's like no issue.
Yeah.
That's to me. I remember I took a picture and sent it to my family and been like, "This is why Korea is awesome."
Yeah.
I really respect this. I was raised the same way, and so I want to be around people that, you know,
You want to be around your people.
Yeah.
We are one of us.
One of us.
I want us to conclude the episode on like game theory and stuff overall because I don't really understand it. Like I vaguely understand that game theory is like statistic analysis of like how different elements in the game might overpower other elements and blah, blah, blah. But can you kind of give an overview about like, first of all, what the fuck game theory is and then how it is applied to all the games that we might know and love?
All right. So game theory is at the intersection of like math, economics, and psychology. It's like probably like a relevant example would be something like global warming and how you ensure cooperation among countries. So like ultimately we're best off if every country cooperates, but individual countries are best off if they do not cooperate.
Right.
So in a vacuum, that tends to lead to no countries participating. So you have to create rules that incentivize countries to participate. That's like an example of game theory in like the modern world. The game theory is like also very highly applicable to strategy games. So like poker, for example, you know, if you always raise when your hand is good, if you always fold when your hand is bad, that's exploitable because you basically are giving away you're giving away information on what you have. So you have to mix it up. Game theory, like the words game theory is honestly sort of a meme in our friend group, especially with James.
He says it all the time.
What I do is game design, not game theory is just like an aspect of like, is sometimes a relevant aspect of game design for like strategy games, but it's not like what I do.
But game theory is instrumental in like the design of your game, for example.
Yeah, definitely.
To play it well.
Yes. Yes. Because I as an example, is like kind of the poker example, but you can take different actions in the game and like, there's not like a single best one. Like the best optimal strategy, it's called game theory optimal, is to mix it up, mix strategy equilibrium. If you do the same thing over and over, then the other person takes advantage of that. So it's actually rock, paper, scissors is probably the simplest example, right? Whereas you have to throw them all with equal probable 1/3 chance. If you don't, it's exploitable. If you throw rock with 40% chance, I will beat you over the long run. Yeah.
I actually have a buddy that would do best out of 7 rock, paper, scissors for $100.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. It's actually very addictive.
Yeah.
Because once you get to like 2 and 2 per person, it like you get in someone's head. Like it'll snowball into like you can just guess what they're gonna do.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's super bizarre.
Well, the thing is, here's a game theory optimal. The term for rock, paper, scissors is literally, imagine you could throw a 3-sided die in your head, and if it rolls on 1, you throw rock. If it rolls on 2, you throw paper. If it rolls on 3, you throw scissors. If you do that, that's completely unexploitable. You cannot be beaten. Like you cannot be beaten in the long run. But because we are not as humans able to do that reliably, you might have a tendency like, I'm going to throw. If I throw rock, I'm like maybe slightly less likely to throw it again. I don't know. If you're not throwing exactly 1/3 independently every time, you're exploitable.
I see. Yeah. What about if you just close your eyes so you don't see what they're throwing and you just like don't even listen if you won the round?
But you might have a bias.
Your own
Yeah,
scissors.
it's like a bias.
Because
type
people
thing.
like, for example, if you like flip a coin, right, 100 times, and you'd be like, how many times is it going to be like heads in a row? It's like, maybe like 3 or 4 at most. It's actually like the expected is like higher, and that's crazy to us. And so we're just not that good at those sort of small probabilities.
I see. Well, after we conclude this episode, we should definitely play rock, paper, scissors
I
for
agree.
$100.
Well, not for $100.
Not for $100.
Yeah, but we'll play it.
Jules, thank you so much for coming on. I want to conclude it with maybe like a more lighthearted thing. Is there anything going on in your life or in your head or in your pants that you want to just share with us?
Yeah. So last year was tough for me. And this year I'm feeling more optimistic, and I'm trying there's a lot of things in my life I'm trying to improve at and become a better person. So I had some negative habits that I want to change about myself, and I've been pretty good about them this year. And just being like, I reflected on things about myself that I didn't like, and I'm trying to be a better person, more humble, sort of more present and grounded, and things like that. So I've been feeling better about myself, and I want to keep improving.
For sure, dude. Yeah, and this goes without saying, but you got us. You know what I mean? Like if if it's not me or Sue or Jay, it's going to be like James or Sam or
yeah.
Daniel. Like there's so many of us now. So it's great that you're part of our lives now.
Yeah. I'm really happy to be.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, last question is, what's your favorite side dish?
Oh, like just in general, not necessarily Korean.
In general. It doesn't have to be Korean.
It's mac and cheese for sure.
Oh, 100%. That is the right answer. Ding, ding,
Excellent
ding, ding,
choice.
ding.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on this episode, Jules. And thank you guys for tuning into this episode of the Side Dish Podcast. Please give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts and a review. And with that said, we'll catch you guys in the next episode.
Bye.
Thanks for having me.